U.S. Senate on Wednesday deemed both articles of impeachment against Homeland Security Secretary Alejandro Mayorkas unconstitutional, effectively dismissing the charges against him.
If there's ever been a cabinet secretary that deserved to be impeached, he is that. And the idea that the Senate and under Chuck Schumer's leadership voted on party lines to not even allow the American people to evaluate the evidence is shameful.
The first article accusing Mayorkas of willful noncompliance with the law was rejected in a 51-48 vote. The second charge, alleging a breach of public trust, was dropped in a 51-49 vote. The Biden White House praised the Senate's decision. Congressman Thomas Massie criticized Speaker Mike Johnson's capabilities, stating he's ill-suited for the role and often fails in negotiations with Democrats. Massie, alongside Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene, has called for Johnson's resignation and supports a motion to vacate his position. They argue that Johnson's leadership has led to poor management of the House, highlighted by issues such as excessive spending and neglecting border security while focusing on foreign aid like that for Ukraine. Massie proposes a scenario where Johnson agrees to resign once the GOP conference reaches a consensus on a new speaker, aiming to avoid chaos and ensure continued functionality in the House. He cited a precedent with former Speaker John Boehner's resignation and hopes to garner more support for their motion.
The Biden administration is committed to the right to kill the unborn and proved as much with its recent funding of the nation's largest infanticide provider, Planned Parenthood. According to a Life News report, the leftist organization killed more babies by abortions in 2022-2023 than ever before. It was able to do so thanks to Joe Biden, whose $669.3 million in taxpayer funding set another record for the organization. The annual report shows the abortion business killed 392,715 babies last year, a 5% increase from 2021-2022 figures. To put it in perspective, that's 1,075 babies killed every single day and 44 dead babies every single hour. Now more than ever, it's time for believers in America to stand up and vote in favor of life. Greg?
There's no Biden strategy for Iran. So proclaims left-leaning news organization Politico. Foreign correspondent Nahal Tusi reports that during Joe Biden's administration, his staff's #1 goal hasn't been to solve the problem, but to keep it off the president's desk. One anonymous official told Politico, quote, "The strategy is to keep it on low boil on all fronts, nuclear, regional, whatever. That's been the approach for some time now," end quote. Days after Hamas' horrific slaughter of Jewish citizens in Israel, Sullivan was still trying to promote the low boil argument, even when NBC's Kristen Welker questioned his comments on the Middle East being quieter under Joe Biden than it had been in 2 decades.
I made those comments in the context of developments in the wider Middle East region over the last few years. The sentence before what you just played, I said, in fact, that this was for now and that it could all change.
Both the Biden and Obama administration sent Iran cash and access to markets. The result? Iranian-backed wars. Nahal Tusi addresses the lack of strategy directly when she writes, "I've come to believe that if the end goal of your effort isn't to solve a problem, then you don't have a strategy." Her report presents the impression that Joe Biden and his team have reacted on the fly, and in doing so have set the region on fire, fueled by seemingly unlimited funds for Iran's regional terrorism. Joining us.
When it comes to the Constitution, the Democrats concluded that Joe Biden and Alejandro Mayorkas, defying federal law, ignoring the text of the statute, deliberately releasing criminal illegal aliens over and over and over again, that's just hunky-dory.
Rick, if taken as the new standard of the Biden administration, does this invite now the entire cabinet to ignore the Constitution, even break the law for his agenda?
Of course, Greg, this may be the saddest week for the Constitution in our history. Not only on one hand are we ignoring it completely, literally allowing the invasion of our country and then not holding the people accountable that are allowing it, aiding and abetting it, and then lying to the American people about it. 2 counts of impeachment, both of them he should have been impeached on. But not only that, that's happening on one hand. Then on the other hand, we're allowing for all these prosecutions, a few years ago, impeachments of Donald Trump for things that he did not even do. So we're ignoring the Constitution on one hand. We're making up the law. I mean, this situation in New York, they're literally creating things to prosecute him on, stitching together old statutes. It's so bad, Greg. And I got to tell you, I'm grieving for our nation and for our Constitution right now. I think we're watching the death of the Constitution, and we've got to draw a line in the sand. We've got to say no to this, and it's going to take states. This is not going to happen in Washington, D.C. States are going to have to stand up and revive the Constitution.